to welcome Keith Henry, CEO of Aboriginal BC. And I'm going to ask Raj to do the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to introduce Mr. Henry to you. Mr. Henry has worked extensively with the Métis Nation in several Aboriginal communities since 1995. He relocated to Vancouver, British Columbia, when offered the Chief Executive Officer position with the Métis Nation, British Columbia, or MNBC, in August of 2003. Mr. Henry maintained his position until September 2008. During this time, he was involved in negotiations that led to the signing of the Métis Nation Relationship Accord in May 2006 with the province of British Columbia. This remains one of the only such bilateral agreements with the Métis Nation of its kind in Canada. He also worked closely with MNBC leadership to develop new governance processes, strategic planning to meet the objectives of the Métis Nation Relationship Accord, and seek programs and services for the Métis communities in British Columbia through the development of the first ever MNBC 5-year implementation plan. In October 2008, Keith began to work as the Chief Executive Officer of the Aboriginal Tourism Association of British Columbia. His current work is focused on supporting the continued implementation of the Aboriginal Tourism Cultural Blueprint Strategy. The strategy has been designed to increase education and awareness, product development, and marketing for Aboriginal tourism operators and communities throughout British Columbia. If you would join me in introducing Mr. Henry. Welcome, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone, and I notice we're well off the time frame that I was allotted, so with that, I thank you for having me here tonight. And trying to be funny, but it's I'm actually quite worried because it is my wife's birthday, in all fairness, and I had a couple texts while I was sitting there saying, how long, how long, how long? So if I seem a little bit scrambled, it's because I've got some pressure at home, very strong. Anyways, I do want to thank Stefan and, of course, the organization for having us here today and this evening and seeing so many of you. It's really humbling following someone like Rick Antonson and the work they're doing at Tourism Vancouver, because essentially what we do at BC is a lot of that sort of marketing and product development, and we do a little bit different than within the Aboriginal communities. And so I have to thank Stefan for acknowledging the territory of the Coast Salish peoples, and it would be negligent on my part not to do so as such. And also I'd like to pay special recognition to the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh peoples who overlapping territory that we're in this evening. The Aboriginal community, so often many of us think, maybe outside of the Aboriginal community, that when we often think of images of the Aboriginal community, we might think of disputes, protests, so much more than what really is happening in so many different levels. And one of the best things I've been able to be involved in is my work within cultural tourism. That bio was far too long, for sure, but I mean, what I hope you got out of it is that I've worked on with a lot of, whether it's Métis, First Nation, or Inuit. The Aboriginal community is very complex, and there's over 200 First Nation communities. There's about 40 Métis sort of community-based organizations, and the urban Aboriginal population is the largest of them all. So it's very diverse, very rich languages, very different cultures, on and on and on. And I'm not sure what any of your experiences are with that, but just having a bit of awareness around the complexity of those issues is very important. So our work within cultural tourism is extremely rewarding, because it's a way that we can help, rather than many Aboriginal people feeling shameful about their history and their culture, actually seeing cultural revitalization. And BC is leading all of the country, without a doubt, in terms of cultural tourism development. I've given each of you a snapshot of some of our marketing materials this evening, and you know, we show this with great pride because of the work that's happening in British Columbia. What I can say to you today is that this industry for Aboriginal communities in British Columbia is one of the largest economic drivers. In 2011, we realized about a gross revenue of our business community of about $42 million. Within our world, that's a substantial figure. It was up from $20 million in 2006. We estimate this year that our cultural tourism is going to continue growing at a rate of about 10% per year in terms of visitation and visitors looking for an authentic Aboriginal tourism experience. What does that mean? Well, it means that we expect to see at least 3.8 million people looking for an authentic Aboriginal tourism experience. Authenticity is really important for us. There is other Aboriginal tourism out there. What we try and explain to people, though, is that it's very important you understand the authenticity of what's being promoted. Our challenge in our world is to make sure we're developing products all across the province that are not Disneyfying the culture. They're shared respectfully and protocol is met. And that may not sound as a huge issue, but in our world it's extremely an important issue. And in fact, if you're working with businesses out there that haven't met those sort of authenticity standards that we promote and suggest as an industry, it's really important that you become aware of it. What I would like to do is just quickly give you a snapshot of one of the things we developed here in Vancouver, and it was such an important thing, building off what Rick had said earlier about the Olympics. Well, the Olympics for us was another huge, I guess, stepping stone for awareness of Aboriginal people. I mean, the one thing that we can all, I think, say is that the 2010 Winter Olympics put Aboriginal people on the map worldwide. And we as Aboriginal people were extremely proud of those 17 days in February. In fact, and of course the Paralympics as well that followed shortly thereafter. We actually, Pan Pacific, it was great seeing Tim here. We had set up what we called the Klahowya Village here in the Pan Pacific as part of a number of marketing things we had done. And in those 17 days we had 90,000 people come through our exhibit here. And so we passed out as much of our marketing material as we could and so forth. So what we saw was the world embracing the richness and the diversity of the Aboriginal community. So with that, I just want to quickly show a video and then I'm going to wrap up with a few comments and welcome any questions.
Small nation ourselves, it's nice to see the culture of the original people.
Well, I love the fact that we're keeping history alive in the culture. I think it's sometimes sad that we push aside in terms of modern times to push away the history of our past, our heritage. So I think that's important. It's our first trip to Canada, and I'd come back again. Just seeing everything, and we saw this in a brochure and decided to come, and it's just brilliant, it's just magic.
So I hope it was probably tough to hear. I know I had a hard time hearing it from here sometimes. So I think what I was trying to do is just build on what some of the comments were at the Winter Olympics when we saw, and just give you a taste. So the Klahawi Village, for example, was something we did here. And I talked about authenticity. And what we did there, just to give you some background, was a story of Raven Saves the Sun. And we themed it all around that story. And we worked with the 3 nations and ensured that they agreed that this is a story that they would like to be told a certain way. And so we came up with the theme around it, and we did a number of things. It was here in Stanley Park, which is a very area that's hotly contested in terms of whose territory it is at times. But it was a way to sort of navigate the middle and say, how do we tell a good story here to the visitors coming? And we couldn't think of a better place than Stanley Park. What that is one example of many of the products we've got around the province. And what I'm hoping I can leave with you in the brochures themselves is an understanding that this is replicated throughout British Columbia. We know that quality assurance is paramount to, I guess, success as an industry. We continue with authenticity and quality assurance, no different than many of you would do with your business community or your businesses you're involved in. We are reaching for that service excellence, and we've been building our labor force with our training. We've been doing product development, and things like the Klahawi Village were another marketing tool for us. So what I'm hoping I can leave with you tonight is a small sense of what we're doing as an industry. I know we don't have a lot of relationship, of course, with the organization and yourselves in here, some of you at different levels. But what I hope I do encourage you to do and think about or motivate you to do is follow up. My card is in there. We have products in your backyards here in Vancouver, whether it's Takaya Tours over in Tsleil-Waututh or the Deep Cove Squamish Cultural Center. I'm sure some of you might know of that. Bill Reid Gallery, Salmon and Bannock, a new Aboriginal restaurant that opened up in West Broadway this last year. There are products right here in your backyards that you may or may not be know that, but your people that are in your businesses may want to see. So it's about awareness. It's about things you're doing all the time around marketing. And yeah, last comment I will make. We believe in terms of how tourism has other ways of evolving and regenerating. And one of our things, we hope that the industry collaboratively understands that there are a lot of beautiful places in this world to go see. There's beautiful landscapes, there's beautiful rivers, mountains, oceans. Everywhere you can go in this globe has something interesting to see. But what we have in BC more so than anywhere else is a very rich Aboriginal Indigenous community, and we think it's a huge marketing opportunity for the future for the entire tourism sector. We saw it during the Winter Olympics, and if we do it right, we can see it continue to bring more visitors back to Vancouver and to all of British Columbia. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me here, and thanks to Fan for making sure that I showed up on time tonight.
Does anyone have a question to ask? No? But I wanted to thank you, Keith, for coming. I know it's your wife's birthday, so I know you have to run. I hope it's the beginning of a great relationship between our two organizations. Also, I have a little present to give you for your wife's birthday. It's a cookbook from Chef Table Society, as well as a press kit with all our address, email, and the information about our organization. Thank you so much.